When we talk about double circulation, it means we have two different types of circulations. Number one, the pulmonary circulation, and second one is systemic circulation. So let's see what is the difference between these two types of circulations, mean the pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. When we talk about the pulmonary circulation, this pulmonary circulation is actually between the heart and the lungs. In which organs are involved over here? Heart to lungs, and again lungs to heart. The circulation which is going to be completed between your heart and your lungs is called pulmonary circulation. In this circulation, the blood that was collected in your heart, the blood that was collected in heart on the right side of your heart, that blood is actually deoxygenated blood with poor oxygen. From left and right, when we talk about the right side of your heart, the right ventricle contracts. This right ventricle pumps the blood into lungs. From here, blood will enter into your lungs. So from heart, blood will enter into lungs for its purification. When the blood becomes rich in oxygen, this oxygenated blood again from your lungs will enter into the left side of your heart, into left atrium. So the circulation between your heart into lungs, mean from right side of your heart into lungs for its oxygenation, and after the process of oxygenation, again it will move back to your heart on your left side. This circulation which is between your heart into lungs and then again from lungs to your heart is called pulmonary circulation. Okay. Then we talk about the systemic circulation. When we talk about systemic circulation is actually circulation of your blood between heart and body. All the deoxygenated blood from the body will enter into the right side of your heart, the deoxygenated blood into the heart. And from your left side, the heart pumps oxygenated blood again to the body. So the collection of deoxygenated blood into the right side of your heart and from left side of the heart again into the body. When the blood is pumped, that is oxygenated blood, when it will be pumped into the body. So the circulation between your body and the heart, that circulation is called systemic circulation. So these are the two different types of circulations, mean the pulmonary circulation, that is between your heart and lungs, and then the systemic circulation, that is between your body and heart. These two types of circulations make your heart to pump double. That's why it is called double circuit heart, and this type of circulation is called double circulation. When blood passes through these chambers, the atrium into the ventricles, it is provided with valves. We have 4 valves in our heart. 2 are atrioventricular valves atrioventricular, or another name that is given to these valves. The right side is provided with 3 flips of the valve. It is having 3 flips, that's why it is called tricuspid valve. Like if I show you over here, the 3 cusps, like this one, we are having 3 cusps, 3 flips. So when blood will pass through this valve, valves get open like flips. They give way the blood that will get enter into the right ventricle. Then when we come to the left side, we see over here, it is called mitral valve, or 2 flips are there. Over here we are having 2 flips, just like 2 panels of a door. When you open the door, you can easily push 2 panels and you can get entered. The same is the case with this side of heart. Actually, it is provided with 2 flips. So when this atrium contracts, pressure will increase and these 2 flips gets open and blood will get enter into left ventricle. Like these are the flips. So the right side, the valves actually are, why they are called atrioventricular? Because blood is passing through these valves from atrium into the ventricles. That's why they are called atrioventricular. But on right side we have 3 flips. The name is given to them is tricuspid. Tricuspid. And on left side, the mitral valves, they are also called bicuspid because they are having only 2 flips. So one more thing over here. On right side we are having deoxygenated blood. And the left side contains oxygenated blood. These 2 types of blood should not get mixed. They should be separated. For this purpose, a thick muscular membrane is present between these 2 ventricles. That is called septum. So this septum separates 2 chambers and do not let 2 different types of bloods to get mixed. When these 2 ventricles contract, they contract at the same time. The left ventricle contains oxygenated blood, and in right side there is deoxygenated blood. So from right ventricular, the blood will go to lungs for its purification. Keep in your mind, in our cardiovascular system, we are having 2 very prominent type of blood vessels, the arteries and the veins. About veins, I told you, all the veins brings blood back to the heart from all over the body. But when we talk about the arteries, arteries take blood away from the heart to other organs. So the blood will move out of the heart from both the chambers with the help of arteries. As the heart collected 2 types of blood, the oxygenated and deoxygenated. In both cases, veins were involved. Particularly one thing you must be very clear about this terminology when you use the word pulmonary. Pulmonary is associated with your lungs. So pulmonary veins means veins which are bringing blood from the lungs. And now from right ventricle, the blood will be pumped into the lungs, but this time with the help of an artery. But before that artery, we will use the term pulmonary again, because blood is moving towards the lungs. So when blood is pumped into the ventricle, from ventricle it will move into pulmonary artery. This pulmonary artery will be divided into two parts, one to the left lung and other to the right lung. Again, we are having two more types of valves. Two are atrioventricular, when blood moves between atria and ventricles. This time when blood is moving out of the ventricles, from right it is moving towards your lungs, and when it moves towards your lungs, it will pass through pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery will be bifurcated towards both of your lungs. Over here, when blood enters here, again we are having valves. These valves are called semilunar valves. They are like half moon. That's why they are called semilunar. Otherwise, we can also label them an other name. Over here, it is called, basically it is attached with your pulmonary artery. So it is also called pulmonary valve. On the left side, the blood, when moves into the left chamber, the ventricle, when it contracts, the blood enters into an artery that is called aorta. This is aorta. When blood enters into aorta, again we are having a valve over here. This is called aortic valve or the semilunar valve. Let me tell you why we are having these four valves in the heart. The main reason, have you observed, there is a rhythm in the contraction and relaxation of heart. When one part contracts, in the atrium, when atrium contracts, we will not experience this in our ventricles. Step by step they will contract. The main gap between the contraction of these chambers, when ventricle contracts, blood is pushed into the ventricles. So there is a gap of about 0.1 second between the contraction of atrium and ventricle. First the atrium contracts, and after 0.1 second our ventricle contracts. Why is this so? Because if all the four chambers contract at the same time, what will happen? Definitely there is a sequence. When these two atrioventricular valves are opened, they should be closed. Mean at that time these valves are closed. The semilunar valves are closed at that time. Because if they are not closed, some of the blood can flow back into the ventricles. So in order to keep that blood away, these valves will be closed. The same is the case. Mean when ventricle contracts, these atrioventricular valves should be closed. Otherwise, what will happen? Mean if they remain open, when ventricle will contract, so most of the blood will flow back into the atrium. So the pressure of heart will decrease and it will not be able to pump the blood to whole body. So this is the main reason. Mean these chambers contract at different times. Mean first the atrium will contract and then the ventricle will contract and blood will flow in a sequential way. Mean from atrium to ventricle. When ventricle contracts, these atrioventricular valves will get closed. When they get closed, these two semilunar valves get open. When they get open, from pulmonary artery, blood will flow towards the lungs, and from aorta, it will move to all parts of your body. Then, one more thing. The flips of these valves, actually, they should be fixed at their place, because when ventricle contract, during that process, when blood flow towards the aorta and pulmonary artery, in that case, these two atrioventricular valves should be closed. Is it? One more thing. They are attached with the walls of ventricles with the help of tendinous fibers. These tendinous fibers are called cordia tendina, which are attached with the papillary muscles of the heart. These are the cordia tendina. These cordia tendina keeps these flips attached to the wall of the ventricle and do not let them to flip back. In that case, what will happen? The most of the blood definitely can flow back. So actually what they do, they ensures one-way movement of the blood in one direction only. Then talk about the left and right side of the ventricles. When we talk about the heart is covered by a thin, delicate membrane that is transparent. This membrane is called pericardium. Cardium means heart. Peri means around. As this membrane is present around the heart, that is why it is called pericardium. What is the function of this pericardium which is present around the heart? When heart is pumping, heart is beating, particularly during relaxation, it expands. So when you are doing strenuous exercise, you are running, when at that time more blood is coming back to your heart, it can overexpand. When it will overexpand, what will happen? The muscles of the heart can get damaged. So the main function of this pericardium to catch the heart in a limited place. It do not let the heart to over expand. Second, there is a fluid that is present between the two layers of pericardium. That fluid is called pericardial fluid. This pericardial fluid lubricates the surfaces of the heart, because we are having other organs as well. So when the heart beats, it reduces friction with other organs. So again, the damage will not be inflicted on the muscles of the heart. Okay, this was the structure of the heart as I explained you. Again, we recap all the main points of the heart. As I told you, heart is made up of 4 chambers, 2 atrium, 2 ventricles. And we'll talk about the atriums. Atriums are thin-walled. Right atrium receives blood from the body, that is deoxygenated. Left atrium receives blood from the lungs, the rich in oxygen. Then both of these atrium contracts at the same time. When they contract at the same time, blood will enter into 2 ventricles. These 2 ventricles are larger in size. They receive blood through 2 valves. These valves are called atrioventricular valves. Why they are called atrioventricular valves? Because blood when enters from atrium to ventricle, 2 different chambers are connected with each other. So blood flows from atrium to ventricle. That's why these valves are called atrioventricular. The blood will pass through these valves when it moves from atrium to ventricles. Then we have 2 more valves, the semilunar valves. One is pulmonary and second is aortic. When these 2 ventricles contract, from right side the blood flows into the pulmonary artery, which is provided with a semilunar valve. When these 2 valves are open, the atrioventricular valves are open. The right side valves are tricuspid, left side bicuspid or mitral valve. When they are open, these 2 semilunar valves are closed. Then when they contract, these 2 atrioventricular valves readily close. They get closed. Why they get closed? Because to minimize the backflow of blood towards the atrium again, and to increase the pressure inside the ventricles. When ventricles contract, from right side blood definitely poured into or pumped into pulmonary artery towards the lung for its purification, and from left side, left ventricle, it will be pumped into the aorta when it will pass through the semilunar valve. When these 2 semilunar valves are opened, these 2 atrioventricular valves are closed at that time. Then blood leaves the heart from aorta, it will reach to all parts of the body. In right atrium, blood was collected from anterior and posterior vena cava. And in left atrium, it was collected by 4 pulmonary veins, 2 from each lung. Okay, as I told you, the outer layer of the heart is called pericardium. Again, inside the ventricles, another membrane is present, that is squamous endothelium layer. This squamous endothelium layer present inside the ventricle. So what is the function of this squamous endothelium layer? Just to facilitate the smooth flow of blood. It's a smooth layer. so smoothly it flows blood towards the lungs and out of the heart towards the body. So this membrane is called endocardium. So pericardium, then endocardium, and in other layer the muscles, the cardiac muscles of the heart, which actually present in whole the structure of the heart, they are called myocardium. Mean these are the thick muscles on the left ventricle and on the right side of the ventricle. These thick muscles of the heart are called myocardium. So we are having pericardium, myocardium and endocardium. These are the three layers which are present in our heart.